Okay, section number 54. Section number 54. Okay, in this section number 54, if you are transferring a capital asset, right? If you are transferring a capital asset, that capital asset must be residential house property, which will come under the head of IFHP. So in IFHP, they already defined what should be the property means, what is meant by property, right? So that definition should satisfy. Okay, so first of all, it should be a residential house property. That capital asset must be residential house property, and then whenever you sell this residential house property, you must be getting long-term capital gains. Yeah, and one more thing, this residential house property must be in India, right? And then sorry, in India or outside India, it doesn't matter. In India or outside India. Okay, next one. So whenever you transfer it, you must be getting only long-term capital gains. And then see, we are talking about exemption part, section 54 exemption part. You can claim this exemption if you satisfy all these conditions. Assessee must be an individual or HUF. Assessee must be an individual or HUF. And when after transferring it, you may be purchasing or constructing another residential house property in India. Another residential house property in India, right? And remember this, whatever the residential house property you are constructing again, okay, so that should be LTCG should be less than or equal to 2 crores, right? If it is two residential house property, if it is a one residential house property, it may be more than 2 crores, right? If it is a two residential house properties, the whatever the LTCs you are getting, it should be less than 2 crores. And this is applicable, like you can claim two residential house properties only once in a lifetime. You cannot claim every time. So only once in a lifetime you can claim this. Okay, I'll come to this part while explaining the question. So if you want to claim the two residential house properties, if the long-term capital gains is less than 2 crores, you can claim it. But that too you can claim only once in a lifetime. So, but if you are purchasing, you should purchase within, like this actually, from the date of transfer, either 1 year before or 2 years after. And if you are constructing, you should complete your construction. Within 3 years. Okay, you should complete your construction within 3 years. If all these conditions are satisfied, then you can claim the exemption of whatever the money you are spending on this purchasing or constructing a new residential house, right? That you can claim. Whatever the money you are spending on this purchasing or constructing of new residential house property, you can claim. But in case there is a lock-in period here, after claiming the exemption. That means obviously how do you can claim the exemption? Like you are buying the residential house property, and then whatever the money you spent on the residential house property, you are claiming the exemption. So from the date of buying, you have to keep that house with you for 3 years. you cannot sell or do anything with this for 3 years. Okay, you cannot sell it. So if you violate these sections, whatever the exemption you claimed earlier, that will be taxable again, taxable as LTCG. So you can write like this. This is applicable for pretty much every exemption claimed earlier will be taxable as LTCG in the current year. Like whenever you violate it, then that whatever the exemption you claimed here, claimed earlier, that will be taxable now. Okay, there is something called as capital gains deposit scheme, capital gains deposits account scheme. Okay, if you are unable to do this, like if you are unable to construct or if you are unable to purchase the house in during this time, then the money, if you invest in a if you deposit in a capital gains deposit account scheme, then also you can claim the exemption, right? Okay, now let's revise what we have done. So whenever you are transferring a capital asset, which is a residential house property, maybe it is in India or maybe it is in outside India, and you are getting a long-term capital gains, and you must be either individual or HUF, and whatever the money you got, with the money, like by transferring that residential house property, whatever the money you got, with that money you are buying another residential house property in India, then you can claim the exemption. Whatever the money you spent on the new residential house property, right, you can claim the exemption. Lock-in period is 3 years. That means from the date of buying the new house, until 3 years you cannot sell it. Okay, so now let's see this question. Whether all the conditions are satisfied or not. So this question is primarily designed to explain only section 54. Okay. Now, Mr. Vikram sold his old residential house in May 2017. So here the capital asset, again our format, capital asset, we are talking about old residential house property. Okay, normally we don't need to do period of holding and all these things because they did not give, and besides they only calculated it. Long-term capital gains we are getting by selling this 8,70,000. So let's call this as H1, right? So by selling H1 we are getting 8,70,000 LTCG. Fine. Then again in December 2017 he purchased another residential house worth of 4,50,000. So this, let's call this as H2. Okay, so what we might have done, in which year you got the LTCG? So in this will come under 17-18, I can say, right? So the previous year is 17 and 18, and assessment year will be 18 and 19. Okay, in this year, how does your computation will look like? LTCG is equal to 8,70,000, and then immediately in 2017 itself I bought another H2, another house. Now can I claim this as exemption or not? Can you guys tell me? What is the condition? I have to buy within 2 years and construct within 3 years. Did I satisfy all the conditions whatever we have written there? Vikram is a individual, everything is satisfied. Anything else? Can I claim this 4,50,000 exemption or not?
Yes,
Ayushi, Sanjana. Yeah, second house I can claim this exemption. So which is 4,50,000. I'll claim this exemption. So then I have to pay tax only on 4,20,000. 870 minus 450, 4,20,000. This happened in assessment year 18 and 19. Fine. Then the new house was however sold in May 2018 for 14 lakhs. Now tell me, I have sold in which year? May 2018. That means it will come under which year? 18 and 19, and this is the previous year, and then assessment year will be 19 and 20, right? Am I violating the section 54? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because with lock-in period is 3 years, right? You cannot sell or do anything within the 3 years. But next year itself, in 2018 itself, I am violating the section. If you are violating the section, whatever the exemption you claimed earlier, will be taxable now. So the exemption I claimed earlier is 4,50,000. Okay, so this is how it will be look like this. In 2018 and 19, the previous year, and 19 and 20, I will do here. First, capital asset is a residential house property, and I am selling. I need to check the period of holding, first one, because I need to check whether it is a long term or short term. Now, when did I buy this? If you see, I'm gonna take this all out because we already claimed the exemption previously. Okay, now I bought this in December 2017. He purchased another residential house worth of, I am selling H2 now. So I am selling H2 for 14 lakhs. I bought this on 1st December 2017. Okay, so December 2017 to I am selling in May 2018. Okay, now how many months for this? It's a immovable property, so it is 24 months. Now obviously this is not 24 months, it is less than 24 months. So that's why it is a short-term capital asset. Yes, very good. So short-term capital asset. Now full value consideration. So they have given, okay, they have given here, we sold it for 14 lakhs, and then they have given stamp duty value of the new house is 13 lakhs. This part I will explain little bit later. Okay, this part, the stamp duty value, after this only I will explain. Now 14 lakhs we sold it, so let's take that 14 lakhs. FVC is equal to 14 lakhs. Then next what? Minus cost of acquisition. Okay, now can you guys tell me at what price we bought the second house? At what price we bought the H2? Hmm?
4,50,000.
4,50,000. Good. So now what we're gonna do is, what is the exemption claimed earlier? 4,50,000 only, right?
4,50,000.
Yeah. So whatever the exemption I have claimed earlier, I will deduct from the cost of acquisition, so it will become 0. So cost of acquisition will be 0. So then total 14 lakhs will be taxed under the head of short-term capital gains. So basically, in another way, we can say that if you violate this section, whatever the exemption you have claimed earlier, it is taxable now, because normally we will give like 4,50,000 cost of acquisition, whatever you buy. Now we are giving 0 because that benefit of 4,50,000 you have taken previously. Now you are losing that benefit. Okay, whatever the benefit you have taken previously, now you are paying tax for it. You have paid 4,50,000 rupees tax less previously. That worth of burden we are decreasing. Now we are increasing. Did you guys understand why we did this?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Now coming to the answers. So they mentioned here, which one? So again, for H1 when we sold it 8,70,000, and then this is happening in 17 and 18 and previous year. So 18 and 19 is the assessment year. From that we deduct 4,50,000, 4,20,000. Then again in May 2018, that means in 18 and 19 is the previous year and 19 and 20 is the assessment year, and then we are getting a short term capital gains 14 lakhs. Now tell me which one is the which option. So this is the long term capital gains. Assessment year is 18 and 19, and then short term capital gains 14 lakhs. Assessment year is 19 and 20. Now tell me which option.
So
So obviously this is not, yeah, and then again both are long term capital gains, so this is not. Again here also long term capital gains, this is not. So answer is A. Okay, now before going to some other concept, okay, let's discuss about